Welcome to Imperial Oil Pipelines and Distribution Training Program for ultra-low sulfur diesel terminal operating procedures for monitoring and emptying drain dry and slop tanks. This training program is one of many we offer to support our guiding principles. Quite simply, Imperial Oil employees and Imperial Oil contractors and their employees will operate at all times in a manner that meets or exceeds all regulatory requirements and meets or exceeds all Imperial Oil standards. We believe that following the correct product handling procedures is most important to ensure customers receive quality product each and every time we make a delivery. What sets us apart from our competitors? Imperial Oil stands out because of the quality of product we deliver, the people who work at our facilities and the people who deliver our product, and our willingness to set and maintain standards and procedures that meet and often exceed government and industry standards. Our commitment to our guiding principles is unwavering. We strive to be the best every time, every day, every delivery. And part of being the best is making sure nobody gets hurt. Imperial expects all employees and contractors to remember, no job is so important that it cannot be done safely, and every task should begin with a last-minute risk assessment. At Imperial, we believe that when you start safe, you'll stay safe. You have been offered this training because you are an operations contractor working at one of our secondary or remote distribution terminals. In this position, you are responsible for monitoring and emptying drain dry and slop tanks at our facilities. With the introduction of ultra-low sulfur diesel, or ULSD for short, new procedures are needed to maintain product quality and ensure full compliance with government regulations. This program will introduce you to ULSD and the new procedures for monitoring and emptying drain dry and slop tanks. ULSD is not a new product. It's a replacement for low sulfur diesel or LSD, but more on that later. This training program will take you about 45 minutes to complete and includes a brief exam at the end. When you pass, you'll be able to print a certificate that says you have learned what you need to know to correctly monitor and empty drain dry and slop tanks used for ULSD. If you don't pass, you can take the program again. Once you've successfully completed this training program, you will need to take the product quality testing training program, which will provide more detail on some of the procedures you will learn in this first program. It is essential that you learn, understand, and can complete all of these procedures correctly so that you and Imperial can get it right each and every time. Okay, let's move on. Before we get started, here's what you need to know to get through this course. There are several sections, and each section is split into a short series of slides and video clips. In addition to pictures, you'll find text and buttons that allow you to move through the program. I'll also be with you throughout, explaining everything as we go. On some screens, you'll have to click on something to continue. On others, you won't. The screen will change automatically. At the bottom of every screen, you'll find the same symbols. They are a question mark, where you'll find these instructions repeated, as well as a list of other resources available to you. A backward arrow, which allows you to back up a screen. A forward arrow, which allows you to move to the next screen, although you can only do that once the narration or activity is complete on the current screen. A repeat symbol, which allows you to repeat what you've just heard. And a pause and resume symbol, which you can use if you need to take a brief break. Click it once to pause and again to resume. You can leave the course at any time by closing this window, but you'll have to start over when you return. Remember, at any time, you can click on Help to review these instructions. Now, you're ready to get started. Click Next to move on. What is ULSD? The abbreviation stands for ultra-low sulfur diesel, a petroleum product that contains a maximum of 15 parts per million, or ppm, of sulfur. To put that in perspective, here's how it compares. Low sulfur diesel has traditionally contained a maximum of 500 parts per million of sulfur. Regular sulfur diesel contains between 3,000 and 5,000 parts per million of sulfur. So, for every million parts of ultra-low sulfur diesel, only 15 are sulfur. That's pretty low. ULSD is not a new product. It is the result of a process Imperial and the rest of the industry undertook to reduce the sulfur content of LSD from 500 parts per million to 15 parts per million. This process took several months to complete, during which both LSD at 500 parts per million and ULSD at 15 parts per million sulfur content were handled. Although Imperial Oil storage facilities and terminals have successfully made the transition to LSD at 15 parts per million sulfur content, the term ULSD will soon no longer be used. At that point, we will simply revert back to LSD. The difference is that all LSD will have a maximum 15 parts per million sulfur content instead of 500 parts per million. Through the transition, tank labels, product tags, and other product identifiers for LSD will continue to be called LSD.